My name is Fara. I am from Philosophy Department, and now I want to presenting my journal that entitled A Refutation from Capitalism towards Environmentalism Critiques Related Environmental Problem. As we know, the economic growth and the environmental crisis are interrelated. So far, economic growth has demanded economic activity which is directly paid by environmental degradation. The more economic growth, the more environmental damage will be. From the conception of environmental degradation due to economic growth activity, raise tension between capitalism and environmentalism. Capitalism is a growth-driven economic system, while environmentalism is a movement that focuses on the mission of saving the environment. Environmentalism imposes all environmental crises on capitalism. For environmentalism, it is futile if we rely on capitalism to solve the environmental crisis. This happens because according to perspective environmentalism, capitalism itself is inconsistent with environmental preservation. And based on that fact, I try to find out what is the fundamental assumption beside the anti-capitalist environmentalism statement, which leads a demand to change a capitalist system towards socialism system in its agenda of saving the environment. And as far as my research, I conclude in a sense there are four fundamental critiques toward capitalism system that emphasize capitalism as economic system is incoherent with environmental preservation effort. Four fundamental environmentalism critiques toward capitalism are: first, the unlimited growth of the capitalist system is contradict with the limited environmental condition. Second, the basic principle of capitalism, which are individual freedom, self-interest, and free market, are not compatible with effort to save the environment. Third, capitalism has caused a metabolical rift between society and the ecosystem that support it. And fourth, the ability of capitalism, which is always able to increase the desire of the consumer society to always consume, will produce a massive environmental pollution. For environmentalism, capitalism is not the solution, but the main problem of the environmental crisis. And as a solution to the environmental crisis, environmentalism demands radical change to the global economic system that leads to socialism. If examined through the perspective of environmentalism, in the previous section, it can be seen that the inconsistency of capitalism with the mission of environmental preservation has made capitalism considered incapable of overcoming the environmental crisis. The environmentalism statement forces us to think that the only solution to overcoming the current environmental crisis is to get out of the shell of capitalism itself. But in fact, the theory of capitalism actually has coherence in environmental preservation. If capitalism is theoretically coherent toward environmental preservation, then capitalism has capability to overcome the environmental crisis. There are two objective goals in this study. First, to refute the criticism of environmentalism against capitalism. Second, demonstrating the coherence of capitalism theory on environmental preservation. To accomplish this aim, the method of refutation is first used to show the shortcoming of the claim about environmentalism in its critique. then continue with an analytical explanation of the whole theory of capitalism, and conclude with a theoretical elaboration of all these concepts. In the end, my analysis of the research showed that the criticism of environmentalism against capitalism is actually wrong. The mistakes lie in how environmentalism simplistically interprets what capitalism is just by describing the failure of its practice to the environment. In fact, if it is investigated based on all the basic attributes inherent in the capitalism system, theoretically, capitalism actually has coherence in environmental preservation. Because I find, first, that individual freedom, self-interest, and free market as the basic principles of capitalism are compatible with environmental preservation effort. Second, the feature of private property and property right in the capitalism system make effort to overcome environmental problems more efficiently. Third, the massive advertising media of capitalism in the trend of green consumerism is actually more capable of arousing environmental narrative than environmentalism itself in making people aware of adopting a sustainable lifestyle. And fourth, economic growth that produced by the capitalist system will stimulate various advances in renewable technology that will solve environmental problems. All the basic attributes of capitalism that have been explained earlier have made capitalism adaptive and capable of correcting its own pace. The current environmental crisis is not a sign that the capitalist system must be replaced by a socialist system, which in fact has more potential to damage the environment. Rather, the environmental crisis is an alarm which itself remind capitalism to inevitably rush to make a transformation to better direction, sustainable through the idea of green capitalism. Capitalists are optimistic that as growth progresses, when the human population multiplies with the depleting supplies of natural resources, extraordinary industrial transformation can occur. Through this transformation, innovation and technological development will process production with minimal use of raw materials and energy. The development of green capitalism is considered capable of promoting economic efficiency, improving the environment from damage, and social justice simultaneously. In this way, the economic order in line with the development of capitalism is expected to increase growth while restoring environmental conditions.